today I would like to look at a brand that I think of as having really cool content and branding, but actually has an extremely simple product, which is WeTransfer. So I use WeTransfer to send large files. You can send it, you get like a link, a downloadable link for 7 days, or you can send it via email. I believe that there's a paid version that lasts longer than 7 days, but I guess we'll check that out today. I always think of WeTransfer because they have this very bright, bold design, and they have a lot of interesting content where they commission writers, which I think is quite interesting for such a simple product that you wouldn't necessarily connect with artists and writers. I want to check it out and do a deep dive. I'm going into this pretty blind beyond just using it as a product. Let's pull up their site first. First thing when I pull it up is a background with Art Manifesto by Annie Atkins. The famed graphic designer and prop maker shares 10 rules for working under pressure. It's actually linking to some more content, but the focus is mostly on that and the content, and then also uploading the files to send. So it makes it really, really easy to do what you came to do, but at the same time has this big focus on their We Present content, which I believe We Present is their editorial arm. But then it changed and I got an ad for a Paramount Plus original. So they must be mixing in ads as well, and it must change. Let's see what pops up next. I got a different pop-up that is about portals, which I think might be a new product from them. So they're also using the real estate to promote their own product features. Let's see if that's what it is. So that's something to a pricing page. It's not super clear right away what Portals is. Oh, here, Portals organize your work for every client and project. So it's probably some sort of Dropbox folder, probably. If I refresh again, I get another product feature. Don't let feedback slow you down. It's really pushing product features and the pricing plans. I feel like in the past when I went onto their website, it was more around artwork and design. I wonder if they are on a big brand campaign push to get more people signing up from free to paid. One of the things I love about WeTransfer's site is that when you arrive there, you can immediately do what you need to do. And you don't need to like read all of this info or do all this sign up. You can do it without an account. You can just send the files. Through doing, you are seeing how the product actually works. And then if you want to dive deeper and get additional features, then there's all these places you can go on the website, pricing, features, like use cases, but they keep it very simple. If you go to their features page, that's where you see a little bit more about explanatory value proposition, keeping ideas in motion, give people simple tools and they'll do extraordinary things. Some of the practical features are ultra fast file transfers, built-in customization, easier team collaboration. A lot of what they're pushing here is about creative assets, team collaboration. Something very cool is that they have very practical functional benefits, but they link it to the emotional benefits as well. They also have like very bold design, fun colors, motion, cool looking people. So even they're talking about something that's like not that sexy, like file transfers. The branding is much more fun and it feels more creative. A big hero text on this page is start sharing your ideas. I think they're definitely aimed at more creatives rather than maybe some big tech company. Even the contact sign up is want in on stories about creativity and the latest WeTransfer news. They're definitely pushing that this is more for creatives than necessarily some big enterprise team. If you go to their company page, it says, we deal in big ideas. Simplest way to send big files around the world. It's cool that they are such a simple product, but they link it to a mission that feels more inspiring, but at the same time, they're not like pushing it too far. A lot of times with companies, their mission will be too lofty. I believe Walmart is a company that has like a really wild mission statement where you're like, this is not Walmart. Walmart's purpose. We aim to build a better world, helping people live better and renew the planet while building thriving, resilient communities. Like that's way too lofty. That's not what Walmart does. Like what? Whereas WeTransfer, we deal in big ideas. You can see how that works connected to file sharing. It says that they also have a suite of productivity tools that take care of other parts of the creative process. Oh, they're a certified B Corp. It says they donate 30% of their advertising space to support artists they admire and causes they care about. Creativity remains at the heart of everything we do. Every world-changing idea has to start somewhere. But I think it's a nice little laddering up of like, okay, it's just file transfer. But when you think about what that represents and what's within those files, you can see how it gets linked to these big ideas, because unfortunately, file transfer is a part of creating big ideas and creating innovative solutions. There's this cool piece of content that I've come across, which is their ideas report. They survey thousands of creatives, agency folk, and content creators, open up about the very real cost of their dream job. It's a very lengthy, well-designed report. You can see their target persona through who they're surveying. They're creatives, agency folk, and content creators. WePresent is their editorial arm, art, photography, music, and more on our digital arts and editorial platform. I've seen writers that I really like write for them. Pandora Sykes, I believe Roxanne Gay has done stuff for them. They also have this manifesto section, which is really interesting, where they ask creatives to write a manifesto for their work. Monica Heisey, who just wrote really good, actually. She's a buzzy author. She wrote something. They have a mix of audio, visual, and it's all about the arts and creativity. They're aligning themselves more with this group of people rather than, when I think of Dropbox, I guess we'll look at Dropbox's site as a comparison. I think of them as like, it feels clunky. It feels a bit more like I would have to use it at a company on the team because they're like making me. Whereas WeTransfer feels like sleek and fun and easy, and they're really aligning themselves with creatives. I find it interesting they still invest so much in editorial, because a lot of companies, I feel like a few years ago, were really investing in editorial. Like I'm thinking about Outdoor Voices had this journal that was really cool. Airbnb had a magazine. I feel like everyone kind of pulled back from that, I think because it's longer brand building work. But it's cool because if they're paying these creators to create content for WePresent, those people are probably then promoting it, so it's getting in front of their target audience of other creators. To compare, let's look at Dropbox's landing page. You immediately get a more classic tech landing page where it starts with the hero copy: join over 700 million registered users who trust Dropbox. Easy to use, reliable, private, and secure. No wonder it's the choice for storing and sharing your most important files. Find your plan. But you're immediately hit with the value proposition, the benefits. It's funny to me that they're leading with this over 700 million registered users. They must really be trying to play up the trust element. I don't know if I would necessarily use a platform just because all these people are using it. I feel like I would use something because it's just easier to use, but it's definitely a different vibe. Oh God, a different vibe. Why did I say that? It's a different vibe than WeTransfer. The branding is this dark blackish blue with the light blue. It looks much more like traditional tech, this sans serif font, where WeTransfer was a lot brighter colors. They had the kind of retro serif font. You have this traditional tech graphic of the little floating heads and the little graphics. Unfortunately, this graphic is very common to be used on sites because it's very hard to visualize what is happening when you're using software or an app. I've run into this with clients. I've talked about it in past videos. It can be really hard with apps to visualize things, and so they tend to rely on these same graphics of the little floating heads, stock images, and graphics that are very generic. This site feels very classic tech. Something interesting about that visualization is that for WeTransfer, instead of even having to show that visualization on the page you land on, you just have the little box to send the files. So you don't really need to visualize it because you're just doing it there, and it's very, very clear. If we check out WeTransfer's Instagram, it looks like all these sort of little brand campaigns, lots of little graphics. They do have some little memes. They do have some functional content. It's a real mix of content here. Oh, they did a collaboration with Jungle. That's pretty cool. A music video art gallery for their new single. That's very cool that they worked with Jungle. I love their videos. I love their music. I love them live. I am definitely their target audience. I like to think of myself as more creative. I don't want to have this clunky folder like I feel like Dropbox is, but I have big files to send. I have big decks. I have big brand guideline decks. If you look at their Instagram bio, send files securely and collaborate seamlessly on all your big ideas. So it's great because it's this good mix of very practical, functional value proposition, but then linking it to that larger collaborate on all your big ideas. If you go to YouTube, they have a focus on this Jungle campaign. They have really practical how to use WeTransfer, responsible advertising practices, so showing those brand ideals of being a B Corp. They have a whole We section. They had a campaign with FKA Twigs a few years ago. WeTransfer Talks, which are they look almost like TED Talkish. It makes sense that they have quite a big YouTube channel if they're putting forward all these different types of art. Video would be one of them. I think what's cool about them commissioning all this editorial work and these brand campaigns is that they're putting their money where their mouth is. So they are saying that they want to have creatives and agencies and people who are creating all this really cool work use their platform, but then they're also commissioning that and supporting that and putting more of that out into the world. They're not just trying to like profit off of this community, but also funding it. I mean, I hope they pay well. I don't know. On their Twitter, their header is fun. It's some cool images that look like someone creating music and says, think it, make it, move it. Keeps it really simple. I think that they are doing a great job getting things across in copy, getting the value proposition across very simply, but at the same time, not like overly simple where you're just getting the point across and you're not having any brand personality. In terms of brand personality, this is a little tricky. It's a little more straightforward, but it doesn't feel overly functional. I'm not a huge fan of saying, oh, it sounds like a human, but it does sound like a human. Like it's very plain speak, but at the same time, talking about creativity. This to me is a good example of where the design and the tone of voice go hand in hand with personality. A lot of times with brand identities, the tone of voice gets kind of piecemealed together with like the beginnings of the graphic design. It's best when they work in tandem with each other because I think WeTransfer has a bit bolder of a graphic identity, bolder colors, more fun fonts, these really bold, chunky. The header font is a little more retro feeling. The images are more fun and bright and stylish, and they look like they're from cool photo shoots rather than stock images. But then the tone of voice in the copy is a bit more plain spoken. So the two together give this feeling of the functional with the creative, which I think is a big part of WeTransfer's brand. It's very functional. It's very easy to use. It's very practical. But at the same time, they're supporting creatives and creativity and big ideas. I think you see that with the graphic and the verbal identities. As the verbal identity is a bit more practical, plain spoken, getting things across clearly and sounding just like a person talking to another person, maybe in the office, but without a lot of jargon. And then the colors and the images are more stylish, bolder, representing that creativity. I think that's very cool. Well done, WeTransfer brand team. I think that you guys are doing a really good job of standing out in a tech space that could be quite boring. Unfortunately, I think Dropbox is kind of like that. Like when I think about using Dropbox, I'm always like, oh, clunky. It's like this tech vibe. Oh, what is wrong with me? Tech vibe. I wonder if there's any other. Oh, there's also Box. I don't know a lot about Box. Is Box owned by Dropbox? It is. It must be with that name. Oh, they're different companies. Interesting. Why would there be a Box and a Dropbox? Box was founded in 2005 and Dropbox in 2007. So Box got there first. The branding is so similar. It has that light blue. It has the floating head and the little files. Simplify how you work, secure collaboration with anyone, anywhere, on any device. This is much more aimed at like larger enterprises. This is so different than WeTransfer, more similar to Dropbox. This definitely feels more like I'm in a suit and tie. And then I went to OneDrive because I think that's similar. But now we're getting more into like, I guess all of these companies are cloud-based storage solutions. But when I think of like actual file transfer, I think mostly of Dropbox and WeTransfer. I think that's something different too, is that all these companies are all like cloud-based storage solution, and WeTransfer leads with send large files fast. Like it's so simple. It's not this jargony like phrase that puts you to sleep. Anyway, I'll keep using WeTransfer. Bravo to their team. I think that it's great that they stand out within this space, and it always works really well for me, and I'll keep using them. Okay, see you for the next one. Bye.